Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 6 of CultureClub X, powered by CultureMonkey. I'm your host, Darcy Mehta. CultureMonkey is an AI-powered employee engagement platform that helps people leaders listen to their employees and build stronger workplace cultures. CultureClub X is our global thought leadership forum where CHROs and people leaders share insights, discuss emerging trends, and exchange practical strategies for building thriving, future-ready organizations. Today, we are so delighted to host Adam Hickman, Vice President of Employee Development, Talent Management, and HRIS at the Walt Disney Company and Partners Federal Credit Union. Adam, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here with us.
Hi, Darcy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Adam has spent more than 2 decades building people-first strategies that help organizations strengthen performance through learning, leadership development, and culture. As Vice President of Learning, Organizational, and Employee Development, he leads enterprise-wide initiatives focused on how organizations develop talent, empower leaders, and create meaningful employee experiences in today's evolving workplace. With a PhD in management specializing in organizational development and leadership, Adam has also served as an international keynote speaker, certified strengths coach, and executive board member. His work focuses on using technology and innovative learning approaches to support a dispersed and hybrid workforce while helping employees stay connected, engaged, and successful. Adam, your experience spanning leadership development, organizational culture, employee engagement, and workforce transformation makes you the ideal person to join us for today's conversation. And we're excited to have you discuss our latest topic, from signal to impact, how great managers turn engagement data into culture change. Before we dive in, can you just share a little bit about your own leadership journey?
Yeah, great. Here in the introduction, thank you. Just gives me the signal that I don't have any hobbies. All I do is work. But it's at the intersection of what I have found to be around purpose and meaningful things to me. So I don't mind it. It's not something I just enjoy. I love what I do. 20-ish years ago, I fell into a role that was in the university side of the business. And that pretty much was turning the lights on to an area that I felt like I could offer the most, but also could serve in different ways. And so ever since then, I've been in some sort of an HR function. Doesn't matter where or when or what sometimes I'll say the outfit is. It's different industries, but have really just found a tact and just grounding people and principles I think we lose sight of sometimes, and then also keeping it an enjoyment, the workplace to come to. I mean, the places that you go when it's an engaged workforce, it sounds different, feels different from the moment that you pull in to you walk in to interact. And there's an art to that, and there's also a science.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And like you said, it means you're absolutely in the right place and doing the right thing if you love what you do. So no, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our conversation. So let's just dive right into our first question.
Great.
So global engagement has fallen to 20%, its lowest level since 2020. As someone who has lived inside Gallup's research, what is the single most misunderstood signal in this data?
Misunderstood. That would mean that we all understand it, and I don't know if we all understand some of the things. But let's just say at the basic needs. The first question in Gallup's Q12, and I'm going to spin off from there. Do you know what's expected of you at work? I don't know what the global number is anymore. I think at one point it was 3 out of 4, or maybe 1 out of 3 is where I don't know the number. I have to look it up. But I always walked around with that just to say on a daily basis, do you know? And it's less about the confirmation of who, but on the other side of that would be the inverse number is what if you don't? Then what are you doing today? And here's a good way to check this. You can ask somebody this and they'll probably say, yeah, I know what's expected of me. And I say, well, how do you know? And if they immediately pull up their calendar, they don't really know, because their calendar shouldn't be dictating what's expected of you today. You should know what's on your radar. You should know what this month or this week looks like. It's the difference of those that think of Sunday night as the dreadful night because you have to start work tomorrow, or is Sunday a get ready session for you on, hey, what do I have this week and what do I need to make possible, move things. It's just a whole different mindset shift in what that is. Where I think the most amount of our work has come into, or the work that I've tried to push others to get involved with the most, is if at the bottom of a rung or a ring or triangle, whatever you want to call it, is experiences, right above there is beliefs. And anybody that joins a workforce has a ton of experiences. Doesn't matter. It's all on your resume. But that's informed your beliefs. And so when you join a new organization, it's almost like an organism. When something new enters to it, it's disrupted. It's different. But that's okay. But here comes the new experiences into what that is. To get them to fit the mold of what's the culture like and what's the team like and your customer base and things of that sort, that takes time. And too often do I hear this, in the first 30 days or 60 days, I'm like, well, what if it's 32 days? Does anybody care? No, nobody cares. What if it's 27 days? So I've tried to get rid of a lot of the traditional HR ways of life and things to say, can we just be simple and human about this and we'll make it work, right? Let's hire right in the right seat with the right talent, and the rest will fold into play. But too often more often I've tried to flip things on its side to say we don't need to do it that way. I know that's what the book says, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I mean, thinking outside of the box is never a bad thing, is it? And
No.
I like what you said about, if they have to check their calendar right away, that's the clue that you don't really know. And it's very true.
Yes.
So manager engagement has dropped 9 points since 2022, yet 70% of team engagement variance comes from the manager.
Sure.
Why are managers disengaging faster than anyone else?
There's a great research piece out there from Gallup on manager perks and also non-perks that come with it. Without digging into it, I would say that what I've observed, not just what research says, first thing's going to be time. How do you fit everything into every day, every single moment? And at the starting point, I would say the most talented managers wake up thinking, how do I coach and develop my employees? That should be your starting point of the day. Then you've got to fold everything else in. Well, you only have so many hours in the day. Now, you can work past them. Nobody's going to tell you no. But how do you fit that in on a daily basis is the hardest part. But this is where you've got to flip some other things on its side. Often you'll hear performance management as a part of this process in an organization that they say. But do you really manage performance, or should you develop performance? There's Q1 on flip it to performance development. It doesn't need to be performance management. You can develop performance without having to manage it. If you're going to go the performance management route, something's gone wrong, and now you're going down the path of progressing to this discipline, things of that sort. If you're in a development type of organization where you develop your performance, then it's an ongoing conversation day after day on, hey, how's it going? Yesterday, I was speaking with my employee, one of my directors on my team, that it was an easy answer for me to give, and I just said, nope, I'm going to send you an article. It's in here. You read through it and then come back to me when you figured out what it is that you were after with this. Silly activity, but developmental nature of, I know what's going to come from that, and it'll be a start point to hopefully that they self-coach in the future on how do we do this if this comes up yet again. So the time piece, yes, but it's dependent upon what are you doing with your time. Here's another cool calendar activity to run. If I said, what are your top 3 priorities this let's say this month? What are we in? 9th? Maybe in the last month. Hopefully one of them is your employees development, but whatever the 3 may be, same thing. Go back to your calendar and line item the hours you spent last month on things, and let's see if those things translate to your top priorities. Often or not, they don't. They push towards a different direction because of things that have gotten your way that are disengagers. And then it just becomes a tactic of, well, then who do I delegate to? And if delegation's done right, it's development, right? Or where are priorities lined up right? Is there conversations that I need to have? Do I know it's expected of me? Do I have materials and equipment to get this done? So all of those things start to circle around that. So time for sure. And then just the innate ability to lead and develop people. Again, you see a lot of hires in organizations based on tenure, which is the worst mistake you can make. The best thing that you can do is, if they've done well in the one role, that doesn't mean they're going to be successful as the manager. You best find out, do they have the innate ability to lead people before you make that movement. When you don't, you'll see the outcome, which is, I don't understand how they were such a good individual contributor, but they're not a great manager. Well, talent is the answer to why that is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It doesn't necessarily translate, to being
No.
good at both things. So kind of tagging on to that, young and female managers are being hit hardest by the engagement decline. So what is the industry getting dangerously wrong about how it supports this group?
Yeah, this is a good topic. Jane Miller is the former COO of Gallup, put out this women's report years ago, still relevant, it's a great read, and articulated it right, if I remember, that women had higher manager talent than males did at the time when we had pushed this out. And I 100% believe some of the best leaders I've worked with have been females.
Mm-hmm.
The number one competing priority at that time was children, which was, there was a decider on, do I stay in the workforce or do I want to raise my kids? And that was what we were up against. Now, some of the better companies out there had recognized that to say, we're losing some of our female leaders, which are top talent in our company because of this reason. And unless there's a way in which that you can offer services or things that accommodate, you're going to lose that. And so you see the child health centers that showed up at work, at places, things of that sort. Flexibility became more important. I know on my team, 3 of them are mothers, and some of them are new moms. And so to think, we're going to dictate an 8 to 5 position for them, and that's going to hold. It's not. I've got 3 kids. I know how this works. Mm-hmm. And so to flex their schedule on when they can and where they can, ensure that they're getting the most out of the experience they want at home, but also it matches business needs and there's a great collaboration there, that's the best fit. The other part is just the conversation on, what are you looking for in your career? Mm-hmm. I'm not a Swiftie, but I do think the era thing kicks into, everybody's in a different era of life. Mm-hmm. And until you've experienced those eras, it takes a while to figure out, well, what do I need? So some folks, and I would say women in particular, and that are in different eras of life, to say, I don't need the promotions and that piece of it right now. I just need to focus on my job and family, but there will come a time when I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Don't wait to find out when that ready state is. Every now and then, poke your head in the door and say, where are you at? What development do you need? What are your career aspirations? What's next for you? That just keeps the ongoing development and really eliminates the gender bias on, it's just got to be males, because the research would indicate, it doesn't, and women are actually better leaders. Take a look at Patty Poppy and Pacific Gas and Electric in California. She's their CEO. Phenomenal leader, and everything social media wise to operation wise, she's just fantastic. And to me, she is like the poster child for most successful female leader that came up in the automotive industry and now is the CEO of just great leader along the way.
Mm-hmm. No, you hit on so many amazing points, and I agree about the Swiftie thing too. I like the idea of the eras. It's kind of an interesting way to think about things and categorize it. But also, like you said, consistent check-ins are key too. It doesn't mean just accepting that that's where you are, but like consistent check-ins too. Yeah. So organizations are flattening structures and reducing middle management layers. What happens to engagement and culture when you remove the manager layer?
Yeah. Which is interesting, and the bigger companies are doing this more so than the smaller ones. Anytime you remove or add a person to a team, you've just reorganized your team. You just did a reorg. And I know we say well, that's not really, no, it is. You change the dynamic, you change the rhythm. If you're a night person, now you're a morning person, you change the rhythm. If you get a new job, a new house, you've changed the rhythm. So things feel different because they are different. When you eliminate span of control, it's hopefully in terms of you've limited the amount of direct reports a person has. 10 to 12 with high manager talent is the sweet spot for engagement. And if you subscribe to engagement is the front end of performance, then that's a great day. If low talent exists and you exceed 10 to 12, you're in for a bad day because it only gets worse. Mm-hmm. So another would say is if you want to flush out some bad managers, give them a bunch of direct reports. They'll flush themselves out. Mm-hmm. But when you eliminate that, what you're signaling is keep doing what you're doing. and you don't need oversight, which can work in some organizations that have, trying to think of a good area. I did a research project with individuals that did coding all day. If they've got the basics and they know what's expected and they know what they're measured upon, they really don't need much oversight. Right? All they're doing is coding all day long. That's what they enjoy. They love the isolated, position of where it's at. Check in when you can, but let's not go over the top with all the extroverted things that people do in organizations. That might work there. Other positions, like childcare workers, do they need a hovering? No, they need schedules done. Things that are administrative. Their customers, the kids that are in the room, they don't need somebody checking in on them daily on what that is. So I do think in some industries it can work. Only if you're at a healthy culture, high talent organization that's already engaged. When you try and flatten things, when there's disengagement, it's because you're escaping something else. You don't want to do job elimination. You don't want to do performance management because it's gotten to that point. So the idea is we're just going to flatten this thing and see what happens. It doesn't work. That's to see what happens, because you jumped right to the result, but you missed the action piece in the middle of what should really take place. Go back to the experiences, the beliefs. The belief is, well, if we flatten this, things will get better, because based on that person's prior experiences, it probably did. But they don't have the same recipe involved with what this anymore, because you've changed the people and product of what's involved with it. So your result will be the flattened organization, but I guarantee the actions taken after that are going to be a little bit tougher.
Exactly. It's like you said in the beginning that you're changing the dynamic, right? And I mean, you made a good point, because obviously some oversight is never a bad thing, but micromanaging too obviously can be an issue. But your examples with coding and childcare make sense too. But okay, so only 44% of managers have ever received formal management training. It's an interesting number. So how do you build manager capability to act on engagement data without overwhelming them further?
Yeah, I saw a similar number to that too, and I was find it fascinating. Even more is if you look into the cost per employee. I think the average is about $1,500 a year people spend on manager development, which is great, and you should. But there's so many times where you don't need to send somebody somewhere or swipe a card to get development for managers. They need reps. That's what you need. If you come in with, let's look at two ways. If you're a gifted, talented manager, because that's how you're hardwired, right? And you can predict that based on psychometric assessments. There's a natural tact that you have, and it just comes with it. Think of the Ted Lassos of the world. You don't need to teach that guy anything, right? So you cut them loose and let them do what they do. Look, Patty Poppy's a great example. Guarantee you never has taken a talent assessment for management or leadership, but she gets it. That's who she is. She's a people person and very tied to mission, performance, and just it comes out in everything that she says and does. But let's say we've got a manager, because 1 in 10 was the number Gallup used to walk around with to say that, who has manager talent within organizations. So 90% of managers in organizations do not have that innate ability, but they're in the seat. Okay. So now we're at risk of what could be. Well, this is where your competencies, your values, those are things that can just happen during conversations on a daily basis to get people prepared for when and if it happens. So if you think of, let's talk pay conversations. That's usually the sticky conversation that has the highest risk of not working if you don't have any reps into this. So the best day is you go in, there's a conversation about pay, and everybody agrees with you, agrees with your rating, agrees with the percent, thinks it's fantastic, thanks you, and you leave the conversation. Then there's the rest of the world. It's like, well, I don't agree with your rating. I don't agree with the percent. I don't know how we're paid here. I need to make more money. Inflation's a real thing. I don't have enough for groceries. I can't make my rent payment. All of that festers. Put that in front of a manager with no experience, with no talent. I mean, it is a train wreck waiting to happen. Unless those that are the managers of managers have developed their teams to say, when this happens, right, let's just talk through, what would you say? And you're getting your reps or your at-bats before you're in front of a live person, that will take place. So that yes, it's great if they can hit, past the 44%, but I always say that there's things that aren't percents that you can still do that is manager development. Like we're really good at the end of the year, we do calibration sessions. So managers will meet with our HRBP team. That's getting their at-bats. So they talk about the score, they talk about why our HR teams challenge you. So if you said it was a 3 out of 5, prove it to me in what you've documented and what you've done and how you're going to talk about it. We didn't send you to a course. We didn't pay for anything other than your labor for that. But that would never hit that 44% because they're not seen as manager development. It's just a conversation.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. That's great that you do that. And like you said, so it can be learned on the job, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to just be so formal. And you're right. There's some that are innate, like Ted Lasso, right? So, yeah. But not most people are, per se, but they may find themselves in that position. But so a lot of it can be learned on the job. And if you have certain things, set up like that. So, okay, but so still talking about disengaged managers. So
Sure.
disengaged managers are also slower to adopt AI, creating a double productivity risk. How does manager engagement connect to an organization's AI readiness?
Yeah, this is a good example. Are you an Android or an iPhone fan?
I'm an iPhone user.
Okay, so remember your first iPhone. Did you get an instruction manual with it?
I actually don't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah. No, Apple never gave this out as an instructional because they knew their customer base started engaged. So you've come to learn Apple as something probably most people can't go without anymore, depending on which, where you fall on. But the unique thing to that is that's your best indication of when you do have high engagement and you give them a tool to use, you almost don't need an instruction manual to take off with it. So what I have found and seen, especially internally as we've rolled out AI tools, those that are the most engaged, we don't need an instruction manual. Tell us the guardrails of what we can do with InfoSec and cybersecurity, and they take off. They're using it for things that I it's hard for me to keep up with on what are you doing and how are you doing it, and let's make sure if it's great, then let's figure it out with others. How do we maximize that? Those would fall in the moderately engaged to just completely disengaged. They haven't found a reason or purpose to use it for because they're missing that spark on what this could do for you. They're waiting, they're the spectators of the industry that are waiting for us to say, use this for this because of this, rather than you're most engaged. You're like, tell me what I can't do and cut me loose. And they are. So for our team, when we first got into this, because I will tell you, I was the resistor for a while. So I'm still the old school millennial or geriatric millennial. I still read the paper. I still, I don't have any fancy gadgets other than a notepad that I take notes on. But so I just said for a while, I want to see what everybody does with it. So at conferences, I'd hear all these things about, AI and AI this and AI that. Nobody really talked about what they were doing. They just talked about the hype of it. So finally one day I said, all right, fine, let's just try it. So we picked out 5 programs and I told my team for 30 days, go nuts. Use it within these parameters, do whatever you want with it. But I would ask every task that you have, see if you can put AI in front of it to help you with it. At the end of the month, we had a, just conversation around what'd you use it for? And we heard some was work, some was personal, like people mapped out vacations. We had one where someone listed the ingredients in their fridge to come up with a recipe. Some had made coloring things for their kids or other things that meant, so just all across the board. And I didn't care about what they had used it for. I was more listening for, is there an adoption here that we could see purpose for what we could use it for? So the next 30 days was, okay, use this only for work. What can you use with this? Our speed on job descriptions, all the things that just take so much time, design documents for courses, creating PowerPoint slides. There's an AI software out there called Gamma. I'm not affiliated with them. I think they're great because they can turn slides in seconds versus us. It would take us to draft one, edit one, graphic design one, re-edit it, layout. It's a thing. Gamma does it in a couple seconds for us. So we have found the sweet spot on probably our top 5 programs that we use. That we haven't eliminated positions because I don't believe in that, but we found ways to make our work, higher quality, more enhanced, faster turnaround time. And it's, to me, that's the gem. If you use it right on, it's an enhancement. You still have the head and the heart, and in HR, hello, you need that, but you can use software to help be your best thought partner.
You touched on so many interesting things there. And first of all, can I just say, I'm like you. I enjoy a handwritten to-do list, and I read the physical paper. I like something tangible that you can hold to. And I'm kind of was also like that with AI. I feel like I've started to use it a little bit here and there, but a little not so quick to jump on the bandwagon, so to speak. Yeah. But how you did it is so interesting to me in such a great way. I think go crazy, try it out, even in your personal life. And then once you kind of see there's like that excitement, and then try it out. Okay, now just focus on work. And like you said, for if you're engaged at work, you're excited about things anyway. So then you're excited to dive in and just to try it, because you're right. The example with the iPhone is so interesting. That's why I couldn't remember. It's like, because there wasn't a manual, but it's because it was exciting, right? It was this new gadget, and you're like, oh, what can I use this for? What can I do? So, definitely makes sense. Okay, so this one might be hard because I'm going to ask you for one. What is the one non-negotiable action every people leader should take right now to stop their managers from quietly disengaging?
It's going to sound crazy, but stop talking and start listening. And there's a few reasons. One, talent falls out of people's mouth every day. You just got to listen for it. But we've stopped because for some reason we think we know the answer before the sentence is done. But so much can be accomplished by just not talking. I love Judge Judy. I think she's fantastic, and she's got a great sense about if you mix the word listen up differently, it says silent. And I thought, well, that's genius yet again. And that's the same thing that managers say. If you just listen, you're going to hear their talent, which gives you the way in which to individualize back to them, which will increase their engagement, because you're not only seeing them as a person, you're seeing them through the lens of their talent, which is how they view the world. And if you can adapt your language to them on those, what a different place it is to work. So stop talking, just start listening. And then the other points on it, if it's outside of talent, you hear so much that gives you keys to how to, I don't say manage them because that sounds super old school, but partner with them, work with them, all of that just changes their everyday experience of work. And command and control, it worked for a short period. I don't even know if it's an era, I would call it that. It works in certain industries. Like I always say, when I was with the energy world, and you're about to step into something that could hurt you, you don't need a strengths conversation. You need a command and control. Like, get out of that. Don't do that. But on an everyday basis in most work, no, you don't need command and control. You don't need the hovering manager. You need the autonomy to trust people because you hired them. Hello. And their talents to work within those boundaries. And the only way you can do that, you can use an assessment, but you don't need an assessment. You just need to say, tell me your most successful story and let them go. You'll hear in there talents popping in and out. It's just, are you listening for it or not?
Exactly. I love Judge Judy too. My mom always loves to watch her, and you're right. I could just picture her, saying that, and I feel like that right there is the key. It's not rocket science, like like you said, but it's just stop talking, start listening, and I will tell you, I've enjoyed hosting this podcast because I'm learning so much just by listening to you and to everyone we've had on here. So. Okay, so switching gears a little, how can manager effectiveness surveys help organizations identify which leaders are turning engagement signals into action and which ones are letting them go to waste?
Yeah, surveys have such a bias towards them, and they really have. I don't want to say we've ruined it because it's not completely ruined, but there's so many surveys anymore. I was at the gas station the other day and pumping gas, like a thing on the screen popped like, do you want to take a survey? I'm like, no, I don't want to take a survey. I just want to pump gas and leave. But thanks for the offer. And then every purchase and every restaurant and and everywhere. I mean, that and tips. I don't know where that became a thing, but like everybody wants a tip for everything. I saw a funny meme the other day about somebody getting a speeding ticket, and then on the screen it said, "Did you want to leave a tip?" I'm like, well, that's probably coming soon enough. But in the survey world, ways that I have heard some really smart people along the way have say, it's less about the survey number and more of the exploration of what caused the number. If your OD team and HRB team is skilled up to where when you get a survey result, and I'll say this often, I don't care about the number. You earned it, right? And now, since we know it, let's acknowledge what it is, good, bad, or indifferent, and now let's go explore what caused it. Because the cause is where the work's actually at. So if you get a, let's say you get a low score on a question around, I don't know, let's pick on a different one. Best friend at work. That was always one at Gallup that people bluffed at. It's not as if the action is then go assign best friends, because boy, would that be weird. But more, have you created environments where people can enjoy who they work with and have a phone a friend, and you've got organizational forums that allow for collaboration about not work, and you have those that for work. So there's a whole system underneath that to say that the goal is not to assign you a best friend. The goal is to create environments possible for that, because when that is possible, you have a higher engagement score. And specific to that question, I want to say the Grand Slam data at that point was less safety incidences, less absenteeism, all of those things that do have a monetary number assigned to them that CFOs would care about and CEOs would want to know about. But again, it's not like, well, we got this, so let's go quickly this, or the other one about knowing what's expected of you. Yeah, the easy button is just to say, well, largely here's what's expected of you, versus trying to understand where did that go wrong, or if I said it, did I not say in a way that landed, not because I wasn't being me, but did I not individualize enough to you for you to hear that is? And then the continuation of conversations. Like I often tell my directs on, if you don't know what's expected of you at the end of the day, I expect either an email or a phone call, because I messed up or I missed something. But if you know, I'm going to trust at the end of each day, if I don't hear from you, you know what's expected of you the next day or what's ahead of you. And then there's just, check-ins along the way to make sure that we're still aligned with what that is.
It's so interesting. The best friend example is fascinating because, just at a glance, you're just thinking, oh, what is the point of this question? Yeah. But when you explained everything behind it, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And I know the tipping culture has just gotten completely out of hand. I mean, I worked as a restaurant server for many years, and I completely respect that and tip 20%. But when it's someone just at the cash register and all of those, and then, until you mention the surveys, you're right, they have been cropping up everywhere. How did you feel today? And it kind of is just like, wow, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, thank you so much. I could honestly talk to you all day. I've learned so much, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and your insights have highlighted a critical reality facing organizations today. Engagement data alone does not create change. The real impact comes from managers who know how to interpret those signals, take meaningful action, and create environments where people can thrive. As organizations navigate ongoing workplace transformation, manager effectiveness has become one of the most important drivers of culture, engagement, performance, and even AI readiness. It's clear that investing in managers is no longer optional. Organizations that equip leaders with the right skills, support, and insights will be far better positioned to create lasting cultural impact. That's where CultureMonkey can help. Through pulse surveys, manager effectiveness assessments, and real-time listening tools that help leaders understand engagement trends, prioritize action, and build stronger teams. Before we end, Adam, how can our listeners connect with you to continue the conversation or share their own perspectives?
Yeah, I love. Thank you for asking that. LinkedIn's the best spot. I tried the other platforms. I don't know if it's the geriatric one. I just don't get it. But LinkedIn's a great platform to connect. There's tons of conferences out there that I try and attend and speak at. If you're going to be in the area, reach out. For instance, this Sunday I'll be in Sydney, Australia. If you're in the area, reach out. We've got a little bit of a meetup session going, not with the intent to talk products or services, but I'm always curious on what's the pulse of where are you working at? And is there something that we can collaborate and help each other through?
Amazing. Well, I wish I was in Sydney, Australia. I would come to that myself, but hopefully some of our listeners are for sure. And I agree, LinkedIn is the best place. So I'll connect with you on there as well. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe. That's a wrap for this episode of Culture Club X, powered by CultureMonkey. Until next time, I'm your host, Darcy, signing off.